What happens when a police leader's son acts like the rules don't matter and hits a 70-year-old war hero in the middle of the day? This spoiled young man walked into Judge Frank Caprio's court. He thought his father's important job would save him from any trouble. But Judge Caprio forced the father to choose between his son and doing the right thing. What happened next became the most shocking and talked about event in the history of the Providence Court. The young man stood there smiling and told Judge Caprio, "My dad runs everything here. You can't touch me." The whole room went quiet, but no one knew that Police Chief Thomas Cole was sitting in the back. He was watching his son destroy the good name he'd built over 35 years. The choice the chief was about to make would be heartbreaking, but it would also bring back faith in fairness and prove that some fathers care more about their principles than protecting their children's mistakes. Before we start this amazing story, I have to say that less than 5% of you watching are subscribed. If you believe in real justice, honoring our veterans, and making sure powerful people are held responsible, hit that subscribe button now. This story needs to be seen by everyone, and you don't want to miss the ending. It was a cold morning in Providence Municipal Court. Judge Caprio was getting ready for what looked like a simple assault case. At 76, he had seen thousands of cases, but this one felt different. The person attacked was Robert Martinez, a 70-year-old Vietnam veteran. The attacker was Derek Cole, 32, the son of Police Chief Thomas Cole. The court documents told a sad story. 3 days ago, Mr. Martinez was walking his dog when Derek Cole, driving too fast in his nice BMW, almost hit him. When Martinez raised his hand to tell Derek to slow down, Derek stopped, got out, and yelled at the elderly man. 3 people saw what happened. They said Derek pushed Martinez hard to the ground. The veteran hit his head on the cement. When people tried to help, Derek supposedly shouted, "Do you know who I am? My father is the police chief. Call the cops, I dare you." Then he drove away, leaving the 70-year-old man bleeding. Martinez suffered a serious head injury, 3 broken ribs and a broken wrist. He spent 2 nights in the hospital. The event was recorded on a security camera nearby. When the video was shown on the news, the whole city demanded action. The courtroom was packed. Reporters, worried citizens, veteran groups, and people who watched Judge Caprio's cases were all there. There was a tense feeling in the room. Everyone sensed something important was about to happen. But here is the secret no one knew. Chief Thomas Cole was in the back row, wearing normal clothes, hiding his badge. He hadn't told his son he was coming. His reason for being there would shock everyone. At 10:30 a.m., the court officer called the name. The state of Rhode Island versus Derek Michael Cole, charged with attacking an old person. Derek Cole walked in like he owned the place. He wore a fancy suit, a shiny watch, and that smug, arrogant smile that made everyone in the room instantly dislike him. He didn't look sorry. He looked annoyed that he had to be there. Behind him was his lawyer, Marcus Richardson, a very expensive attorney known for getting rich clients out of trouble. But the moment that caught everyone's eye was when Derek passed the row where Robert Martinez was sitting, wearing his veteran's hat and holding his broken arm in a cast. Derek didn't even look at him. No sign of respect, no guilt, nothing. Judge Caprio looked up from his papers. Those kind eyes that have shown mercy to thousands suddenly turned stone cold. He had already read the case. He had seen the video. He had decided this young man was going to learn a harsh lesson today. "Mr. Cole," Judge Caprio began, his voice calm but strong, "you are charged with attacking an elderly person, Mr. Robert Martinez, a 70-year-old Vietnam veteran. How do you plead?" Derek's lawyer jumped up quickly. "Your Honor, my client pleads not guilty. We believe the witnesses are wrong." Judge Caprio held up his hand. "Lawyer, I asked your client, not you. Mr. Cole, do you have a voice?" Derek stood up and his extreme arrogance showed. He fixed his suit jacket, looked straight at Judge Caprio with that same smile and said, "Not guilty, Your Honor. This whole thing is stupid." The word stupid hung in the air like a punch. Judge Caprio slowly took off his glasses. Everyone who watches his show knows this means he's about to get very serious. "Stupid," Judge Caprio repeated. "Mr. Cole, I've watched the video. I've read the doctor's reports. I've seen the pictures of Mr. Martinez's injuries. Would you like to change your mind about calling this case stupid?" Derek looked at his lawyer, who was wildly signaling for him to be quiet. But Derek's huge ego wouldn't let him stop. "Your Honor, with respect," Derek said, and everyone knew that when someone says with respect, disrespect is coming next. "This is being made a big deal. Some old guy was in my way. I barely touched him. Now I'm here like a real criminal." People in the room gasped. Did he call a Vietnam veteran some old guy? Did he say he barely touched him when the man was hospitalized? Judge Caprio set his glasses down very carefully. His face got tight. For anyone who watches Caught in Providence, they know this look. This is Judge Caprio when his patience runs out and justice is about to be delivered. "Mr. Cole," Judge Caprio said, his voice still quiet but carrying total power. "Before we go on, I want to know something. Do you know who Mr. Martinez is?" Derek shrugged. "Some person who was blocking me." The disrespect was clear. Robert Martinez, sitting down, showed no emotion. He sat with the quiet strength that comes from serving your country, but the other veterans in the room were angry. Judge Caprio stood up from his bench and walked around to the front. This is very rare. This meant something big was about to happen. "Mr. Martinez," Judge Caprio said, looking at the veteran, "please stand and tell Mr. Cole who you are." Robert Martinez slowly stood, leaning on his good arm. "Your Honor, my name is Robert Martinez. I was in the U.S. Marine Corps from 1968 to 1971. I served 2 times in Vietnam. I got the Purple Heart and the Bronze Star for being brave. I'm a retired Providence firefighter. I have lived here for 50 years. And 3 days ago this man," he pointed at Derek without looking, "attacked me for no reason other than asking him to slow down in a public park." The courtroom was completely silent. Judge Caprio nodded kindly to Martinez, who sat down. Now Judge Caprio turned back to Derek. "Mr. Cole, do you understand what you just heard? You attacked a highly honored combat veteran, a man who put his life at risk for this country, a man who spent 30 years saving people from burning buildings, and you called him some old guy who got in my way." Derek's smile was gone, but his arrogance wasn't. "Your Honor, I didn't know he was a veteran. How should I know that?" Judge Caprio's answer was quick and powerful. "Mr. Cole, it shouldn't matter if he's a veteran or not. Attacking someone is wrong. But the fact that you think it would only matter if you knew his service record tells me everything about your terrible character. But everyone, before I tell you what Judge Caprio does next, you need to do something. In the comments, tell me, has someone you love ever been treated badly because of their age? Have you seen young people disrespect old people? Share your story because this is about more than one case. It's about respect and how we treat the people who came before us." Derek's lawyer jumped in, trying to fix the situation. "Your Honor, my client is young and chose poor words, but the evidence will show." "Evidence?" Judge Caprio cut him off. "Lawyer, I have seen the evidence. In fact, let's watch it together." He signaled the court clerk, who played the security camera video on the monitor. Everyone watched silently as the video showed exactly what happened. Derek's BMW speeding, nearly hitting Martinez, the veteran raising his hand, Derek stopping his car, getting out, and violently shoving the 70-year-old man to the ground. The video was perfectly clear. The attack was obvious, and Derek's actions afterward, standing over Martinez, shouting, then casually driving away, were damning. When the video finished, Judge Caprio looked at Derek. "Still think this is stupid, Mr. Cole?" Derek's face was white. His lawyer was frantically whispering in his ear. But Derek's ego, That poisonous mix of privilege and arrogance wouldn't let him completely back down. "Your Honor," Derek said, his voice shaking a little now. "I was having a bad day. I just got some bad news. I wasn't thinking straight." Judge Caprio's eyes narrowed. "A bad day, Mr. Cole. I've been a judge for over 30 years. I've seen people who lost their jobs, their homes, lost their children come before me. You know what they don't do? Attack old veterans because they're having a bad day." The judge walked closer to Derek, closing the space between them. "Let me tell you what I think, Mr. Cole. I think you've always believed you are special. I think your father's job as police chief has protected you from trouble. I think you've never been held responsible for anything, and I think you came into my courtroom today expecting that to continue." Derek tried to talk, but Judge Caprio held up his hand. "I am not done. I have dealt with people like you before. People who think their last name, their father's job, or their family's money makes them untouchable. But here is what you are about to learn. In my courtroom, none of that matters. What matters is the law. What matters is fairness. What matters is treating every person with respect." Now here is the part of the story that no one saw coming. Judge Caprio stopped, looked to the back of the courtroom, and said something that made Derek's blood run cold. "Chief Cole," Judge Caprio called out, "would you please come forward?" The entire courtroom turned around. Sitting in the back row, slowly standing up, was Police Chief Thomas Cole. He had been there the whole time. He heard every word his son said. He watched his son show no regret. And the look on his face wasn't anger, it was deep, deep sorrow. Derek spun around. For the first time since he entered the court, his arrogance completely shattered. "Dad, why are you here?" Chief Cole walked down the middle aisle. Every step was heavy with the weight of his 35 years as a police officer. He was a man in his late 50s, gray hair, wearing a simple shirt and pants. No uniform, no badge. Just a father watching his son destroy everything he taught him. Judge Caprio spoke to the chief with true respect. "Chief Cole, thank you for being here. I know this must be incredibly hard." Chief Cole stood tall, his police training visible in his posture. "Your Honor, I appreciate you letting me be present." Derek was starting to panic. His lawyer looked confused. The audience was on the edge of their seats. What is happening? Judge Caprio continued, "Chief, your son believes that your position will protect him from the results of his actions. He has said many times that because you lead the police in this city, he is above the law. I want to give you a chance to talk about that belief." The courtroom held its breath. This was the moment a father had to choose between saving his son and upholding the right principles he dedicated his life to. Chief Cole took a deep breath. His voice was steady but full of pain. "Your Honor, my son is wrong. He has always been wrong about that. I've spent 35 years serving this city. I've arrested murderers and corrupt people. I've risked my life to protect the innocent and uphold the law. And not once have I ever believed that my badge gave me or my family the right to break those laws." Derek tried to speak. "Dad, I..." The chief held up his hand, and the power in that gesture silenced his son immediately. "Derek, be quiet. You've said enough." He turned back to Judge Caprio. "Your Honor, I watched the security video the day after it happened. I saw what my son did to Mr. Martinez. I've read the hospital reports. I know exactly what happened. And I am here today not as the police chief, but as Thomas Cole, a father who failed to teach his son the most important lessons: respect, humility, and accountability." The chief's voice cracked a little. "I thought I taught him right from wrong. I thought I showed him what it means to serve others, to protect the weak, to treat everyone with dignity. But somewhere I failed. And that failure," he pointed to his son, "that failure is standing right here." Derek's face broke. For the first time, tears filled his eyes. "Dad, please." Chief Cole turned to his son, and what he said next will be remembered in Providence history forever. "Derek, I love you. You are my son, and that will never change. But love does not mean protecting you from the results of your actions. Love means holding you responsible so you can grow into the man you should be. He looked back at Judge Caprio. Your Honor, I am here to tell this court that whatever punishment you think is right, you have my full support. My son attacked a war hero. He showed no regret. He disrespected this court, and he disrespected everything I stand for. He needs to face the full force of the law, and I will not try to stop you. In fact, if I could, I would ask you to be even harder on him than normal, because he needs to learn this lesson now before he hurts someone else. The courtroom burst into whispers. This was unheard of. A police chief asking a judge to punish his own son severely. Derek was now openly weeping. Dad, I'm sorry, I didn't mean. Chief Cole's voice became firm. Derek, do you know what I did yesterday? I visited Mr. Martinez at his home. I apologized to him for you, even though I know that can't fix what you did. I looked him in the eye and told him that my son's actions do not represent the values of this police department or this family. And do you know what he told me? He said, Chief, your son needs help, not protection, help. And he is right. You don't need me to save you. You need to face what you've done and change. Judge Caprio had been listening to all of this with deep emotion on his face. Now he spoke, his voice carrying the wisdom of 3 decades. Chief Cole, Judge Caprio said, I want to thank you for your courage today. What you have done standing here and putting justice above your natural desire to protect your child. That takes more strength than most people will ever know. He looked at Derek. Mr. Cole, do you understand what just happened here? Your father, a man who could have used his power to make this go away, chose instead to uphold the law. He chose to honor Mr. Martinez. He chose to honor the badge he's worn for 35 years. That is what being a person of integrity looks like. Derek could barely talk through his tears. Your Honor, I was wrong about everything. Judge Caprio nodded. That is the first true thing you've said since you walked into this courtroom. But saying sorry is not enough, Mr. Cole. Actions have consequences. And everyone, what Judge Caprio says next shows why millions love him around the world. He doesn't just punish. He tries to fix people. He doesn't just use the law, he changes hearts. Subscribe right now if you believe in this kind of justice, because what comes next is a perfect example of making someone responsible, giving them a second chance, and helping them change. Derek Michael Cole, Judge Caprio announced, his voice serious now. I find you guilty of assault and battery on an elderly person. This is a very serious crime, made worse by your total lack of regret when you first stood here. He paused, letting the silence settle. Here is your sentence. You will serve 90 days in the Providence County Jail. You will complete 200 hours of community service, specifically helping elderly veterans at the VA hospital. You will attend anger management classes for 1 year, and you will write a formal letter of apology to Mr. Martinez, which you will read in this courtroom, followed by a face-to-face meeting where you will apologize to him personally. Derek nodded, accepting every part. Yes, Your Honor. But I'm not finished, Judge Caprio continued. You will also create a video apology that will be posted on the Providence Police Department's social media. In the video, you will explain what you did, why it was wrong, and how you are fixing your mistakes. Your father has agreed to this because exposing the truth is the best way to clean up arrogance. Furthermore, Judge Caprio said, after you finish your jail time, you will speak to the new Providence Police Academy recruits about privilege, accountability, and what happens when you think you are above the law. Your father will set this up. You will share your story, not to shame you, but to stop other young people from making the same mistakes. The punishment was hard, but meaningful. Every step was meant not just to punish, but to change him. Chief Cole spoke up. Your Honor, I want to add something if I may. Derek will also be moving out of my house. He is 32 years old. He has been living under my roof, under my protection, using my name. That ends today. He needs to learn to live on his own, pay for himself, and understand that privilege is earned, not given by family. Derek looked at his father with sadness. Dad. It's time, son, the chief said, his voice breaking. It's time for you to grow up. Judge Caprio turned to Robert Martinez. "Mr. Martinez, do you have anything to say?" The 70-year-old veteran stood up slowly. "Your Honor, I don't want revenge. I just want this young man to understand that every person he meets deserves respect. Age, job, position, none of that matters. We are all people trying to live with dignity. If he learns that lesson, then this whole thing will have been worth it." The kindness in those words silenced the whole courtroom. Here was a man who was attacked and hospitalized, offering forgiveness and wisdom instead of anger. Judge Caprio spoke to Derek one last time. "Mr. Cole, you heard Mr. Martinez. A man you attacked is showing you more grace than you deserve. I suggest you spend your time in jail thinking about that. Thinking about the man you want to be. Thinking about whether you want to keep being the person who walked in here today, or if you want to become someone your father can be proud of." Court is adjourned. The gavel hit the wood. As officers came to take Derek away, Chief Cole walked over to his son. They stood face to face for a long moment. Then the chief did something that made everyone cry. He hugged his son tightly. "I love you," the chief whispered, loud enough for people nearby to hear. "But I love you enough to let you face this. You will get through it. And when you do, you'll be better. You'll be the man I know you can be." Derek sobbed into his father's shoulder. "I'm sorry, Dad. I'm so sorry." "I know, son. Now prove it." The officers led Derek away. Chief Cole stood there, watching his son disappear, tears running down his face. This is what real love looks like. Not saving people from trouble, but supporting them through it. Judge Caprio walked up to Chief Cole and shook his hand. It was a moment of respect between two men who had served the public. "You did the right thing," Judge Caprio said quietly. Chief Cole nodded. "Doesn't mean it doesn't hurt." "No," the judge agreed, "but it means it matters." Before the courtroom emptied, Judge Caprio made one last announcement. "Ladies and gentlemen, what you saw here today is not just about one case. It's about the choice we all face when someone we love does wrong. Do we help them avoid punishment, protect them, make excuses for them? Or do we love them enough to hold them responsible?" Chief Cole could have used his power to make this go away. Instead, he chose justice. He chose Mr. Martinez. He chose the values he lived by. That is courage. That is integrity. That is what real leadership looks like. The courtroom burst into applause. People were crying. Veterans saluted Chief Cole. Robert Martinez walked over to the chief and held out his good hand. "Chief," Martinez said, "your son is lucky to have a father like you." The chief shook his hand, very emotional. "Mr. Martinez, I am sorry for what he did to you." "He will learn," Martinez said. "And when he does, he will make you proud. I can already see it." 6 months later, Derek Cole walked out of the Providence County Jail. He was a different person. He had lost weight, gained humility, and found meaning. His 200 hours at the VA hospital turned into ongoing volunteer work long after his punishment was over. He apologized to Robert Martinez in a meeting that both men said was healing. Martinez became a guide for Derek, teaching him about service and true strength. Derek's video apology was seen by over 3 million people. Young people across the country saw what taking responsibility looks like. They saw what happens when privilege meets justice. They saw what true change requires. Chief Cole went to all of Derek's anger management classes, not because he had to, but because he wanted to support his son's genuine effort to change. Their relationship, which was broken that day in court, slowly healed, built on honesty and respect. And Derek Cole, the arrogant man who once said, "My dad runs this town," now works helping veterans. He uses his story to teach others about being responsible and earning respect. Judge Frank Caprio's decision that day didn't just give justice. It saved a life, healed a family, and proved that sometimes the most loving thing you can do is refuse to save someone from the hard lessons they need to face. If this story touched you, if you believe in this kind of justice, share this video. Like this video if you honor our veterans and respect the strength it takes to choose justice over comfort. Subscribe for more amazing stories that prove kindness and accountability can work together. And remember Judge Caprio's words: real love isn't protecting people from consequences. It's supporting them through the consequences they need to become better. That is the legacy of Judge Frank Caprio. That is the courage of Chief Thomas Cole. And that is the grace of Robert Martinez.